Welcome back to OpenLine, talking about ISIS, and we have with us Richard McGregor, Dr. Richard McGregor, Vanderbilt Associate Professor of Religion and Islamic Studies. A good conversation, several calls here. Let's go to Jerry. Hello, Jerry.
Hey.
Go right ahead.
First off, thank you for this conversation. I must be misunderstood. Everything that when you step back and you look at this, they're paid assassins. This isn't even a religious movement. You can't even deny that. These guys are paid to go in and fight a war. You've got Turkey involved, you've got Saudi Arabia involved, and they're admitting to it. Please, again, explain to me what that has to do with Islam or anybody else. Let's be honest about it. If it's had anything to do with what he's saying, then who would be the enemy? Would be Israel, and Israel's never been attacked by these people. So let's try again. These are paid. Take the money away, they go away. Poof. There's no secret to this.
That these fighters are somehow paid. We established that it arose after we invaded Iraq and the military was disbanded and there were large numbers of people then left with no job. He's saying, are they in fact just a paid fighting force? What about that question?
Sure. Are they mercenaries? Is this a mercenary army, ragtag group come together for self-interest? My answer would be, at a certain level, yes. The individual fighters are, and this has been made clear by several studies, and it's been known for years. The individual fighters for the so-called Islamic State are, by any measure, not religious people. That is, in this case, Muslims, right? They are not deeply pious, ethical people. That is not the profile of the typical recruit. The typical recruit is disgruntled. The typical recruit is vulnerable. And this is an important theme that is coming up, right? That there is vulnerability definitely at play on many levels. One of them is financial. For us, perhaps in the U.S., with our strong economy and with our lifestyle, we may not appreciate the opportunity that paying someone from a so-called third world economy $1,000 a month, how much that could change their lives and their families' lives. Overseas labor for many countries in the Muslim world that is where people travel to wealthier countries to work, right, as laborers, as temporary laborers. This is a huge part of many Muslim countries' economies. I point that out just to say that this, on a certain level, has a financial component to it.
They're angry. They have no place else to go, and the leadership uses the Quran and religion to justify some of this other stuff. In other words, you have a group of people that are unemployed, that are angry in some way, and then you have leaders that are using the Quran, interpreting it in its most extreme way to justify some of these acts. Is that getting at some of what you're saying there? Yes,
I think that's a perfectly valid characterization. Right? We have this, again, as we were saying, from the wider Islamic historical perspective, a thin theological ideology here, right? It is black and white. It is intolerant, right? It does away with nuance. That sort of thin veneer of religious language, of religious morality, right, of religious orientation is put over this movement that is very violent, that rewards the fighters on the ground with money, that rewards them with an opportunity for adventure, that rewards them for opportunity of belonging, that rewards them with other things like sexual opportunities.
Yeah, women. I mean, they justify the rape of women.
The rape, enslavement, the abuse, the excitement of extreme violence, right? For these disgruntled, vulnerable young men, that is part of the appeal and part of the recruiting technique, and that surely is not a religious message.
So in the midst of all this, we have this refugee crisis. So ISIS has moved into Syria. They have brutally handled the people there, forcing many people to leave, refugees. What do we need to know, in your opinion, about this enormous crisis that's unfolding and the refugee crisis?
I think there are two things to remember. First is perhaps the more tragic development, and it's this trampling, this destruction in the Middle East, in Syria and Iraq, of religious diversity, cultural diversity. Various Christian communities have been displaced. Many of them, many people killed, many people literally running for their lives. We mentioned the Yazidis, religious minority. The sort of violence and persecution that they have faced is almost unimaginable. It's catastrophic. And add on to that, the much larger and certainly also important are the various Muslim communities with whom ISIS ideology cannot tolerate, and who themselves are killed, are pushed out of the country, who are displaced and set packing. This diversity is being lost, and I don't think there is I'm pessimistic about recovery of that diversity. Second, the second point I want to make is about the largely Syrian refugee crisis. It's Iraqi, but largely Syrian refugee crisis, changing the face of Europe. We haven't seen this kind of influx since the Second World War, changing right, the continent. We in the U.S., I think, should perhaps shift our posture on this, on the Syrian refugee crisis and the Syrian refugee phenomena. And I would like to refocus, if I may, around the idea that the Syrian refugees, the vast majority, are the enemies of ISIS. They are running for their lives. They are people that ISIS cannot tolerate. These people are running from ISIS because they have no choice. We might ask ourselves, who then are our natural allies in this region, in this messy picture? Who are our allies? Well, surely the refugees are allies to us.
Because they're the enemies of our enemy.
They're the enemies of our enemy, and they are running where? They're running to Europe. They're trying to run to America.
And yet, there's a great deal of fear, and how do we get past that? How do you think we do get past that, or do we? What I guess, as a professor of religious studies, what does history tell us is going to happen here? How do we evaluate this situation?
Right, and this is not going to be an easy transition. When we think of the numbers, the hundreds of thousands, probably over 1 million refugees that are going to make Europe their permanent home, this is going to be interesting. There will be challenges. I think that in this transition period, when we struggle, when we as a country struggle to do the right thing, when we struggle to make what is perhaps not the easiest choice, perhaps not immediately the most popular choice, but as we struggle to do the right thing to facilitate the next chapter in the lives of these immigrants, we need leadership. We need leadership from our communities locally, and we need leadership that is from our religious communities. We need political leadership on the national level. Pope Francis said something a little while back that he was encouraging something like every parish. Catholic parish should commit to supporting one Syrian family. I don't know how practical that is, but that's the kind of leadership I think that we will need to get through this crisis.
Let's take one more quick call here before we go to Mike. Hello, Mike.
Hello.
Hi. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I would like to just say that I've noticed that every time that there's like a Muslim that blows up something, here in the United States, or he kills a bunch of people somewhere, the media is the first ones to jump on it, making it sound like that every Muslim is not like this, that it's a jihadist. And the thing that I want to say about it is every Muslim that studies the Quran tells them to become a jihad. It tells them to become jihad. And yet, and also they follow a so-called religion that's got a Muhammad who had a sexual relationship with a 9-year-old child. Also had people assassinated himself. So I wonder how they even say this is a religion any more than it's a cult.
All right. I appreciate the question because I know there are a lot of people that have the question. All right, we're going to take a break and we're going to come back and answer that. So we'll take a break, be back right after this.